Welcome to the Emo Social Club podcast, broadcasting to you live from emosocialclub.tv. I am Brian.
And I'm Lizzie.
We're not live right now, but that's where we broadcast you from rainy and chilly Chicago, Illinois, after just returning from sunny and windy Las Vegas, Nevada, where we were at the When We Were Young festival.
We made it there. Somehow we made it after a chaotic week. We'll get more into that. But yeah, it was a windy.
It was a whirlwind weekend. Of a time.
It was a whirlwind, windy, while we were hanging weekend. I tried to make it as alliteration as I could there. I'm sorry.
A lot of W's and a Y.
Baby.
Yeah, we were out there for a week, so we are tired, and that's why there was no podcast yesterday. But we have a few stories of the first weekend, question mark, because it was really only one day. So we have some thoughts on it. We wanted to get those out this week for you real quick before, it leaves your memory and you're like, when we were young, but I'm old and I can't remember. So that's why this episode exists. For me, a quick little summary of my time there. I saw a gigantic line outside of the festival from my hotel room that went around the block. Lizzie, I think you were already in that line by that time that I saw that.
We sped walked and bypassed the line. I don't think we were supposed to, but we did. So we got in very quickly.
Okay. So if you were a scam artist, you didn't have to wait in that line. That was Lizzie's decision. But I basically just said, I should mention we went on Sunday. We went on the day. So this isn't the matter. Don't worry about Saturday. Saturday got canceled. We didn't go. We don't know how it was.
We'll summarize that part too. Don't worry.
We don't know what happened. We just saw that there's wind. So whatever. I saw the line. I saw some tweets about how long it was taking people to get in. There's a lot of commentary on that on the internet. And obviously bands started at noon. The doors opened at 10 a.m. and I see this gigantic line and I'm like, I don't understand why, it's taking so long to get people in here, but whatever. I'll just go when I'm ready. So had to miss a few bands, get in there. And then all I saw were lines inside of the fest to everything. So I'm waiting through lines, walking through lines, getting into stuff. And then all of a sudden, oh, there's a band or two playing, I guess, but just surrounded by lines for food, surrounded by lines for getting a wristband to be 21 years old, waiting in the 4-hour-long merch line. It's very confusing to me. So that was my day. Lizzie, how about you?
So I had the adverse experience, I feel like. So granted, the night before, so I was supposed to go Saturday, and that obviously didn't happen. Me and my friends were literally walking out of the hotel room. I checked my phone. I said, guys, the show's fucking canceled. Then we had 20 whole minutes of pure terror and panic as we tried to get on StubHub, and immediately crashed. Luckily, shout out to the homies, Craig and Rob, and also John for coming on through and giving us their extra passes in our group chat, because then we only had 20 minutes of panic and we ended up getting at least $500 refunded back to us. So we saved money in the long run. So cool on that. So my friends and I get there Sunday. We get there around noonish because I wanted to see Hawthorne Heights at 12:45. So our Uber driver was also a fucking riot. She was great. But we get dropped off. We're walking, and then we're like, yo, this fucking line. I tried to tweet something out. We get in, though, because we realize it's just herd mentality. Get in. We see just it's overwhelming because there's just so many people everywhere. And I've been to a lot of festivals before, but this just seemed way too big for some reason and disorganized. So by the time we get in, I will say the one biggest thing that I had to compliment was the fucking bathrooms were running like clockwork and were always clean, and there's always toilet paper for the most part.
Dude, I'm about to argue with you on that, but go ahead.
I think you had I think it's because you were a guy, so I think there's that, and I'm sorry about that. Actually, I'm not really sorry about that. But There were issues. Apparently there was a GA pit that I was unaware of. Me and my friend tried to get in. Whole nother mess that we will get into. I don't know if I told Brian about this even. But it was great because I at least saw like most of the bands I wanted to see. I saw Hawthorne Heights when we were walking in. And then me and my friends kind of like just squatted for the rest of like the 5 hours of the night because they were just back to back at the two main stages. And we had a good time being in the back because we were able to just jump around and like skank in our own little pit with each other instead of dealing with a bunch of fucking normies who don't know what's going on. So I feel like it's 50-50 because it's a new fest. So I try to keep that in mind. So I'm more on like the positive side of it, but obviously I have some negs too.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, yeah, this is a new fest. And I was like, literally every band on this festival has done festivals before. Everybody who has run this festival has done festivals before. Every city has gigantic festivals. Every Vegas hotel has fucking festivals. Like it is like this idea that you're like, it's the first time doing it. It's also at a festival grounds. So there's also the fact that it is at a place built for festivals. So I do have an argument against, it's the first time. There is a reason, and this is going to be the start of my cons. We're going to do a little bit of cons. We'll get into some pros, but I'm starting with cons. I'm hitting cons hard.
He's heated.
Dude. You've been to a show where there were like 7 bands on the bill, and it started at like 6 p.m. and went to 10 p.m. You've been to that show. That show sucks. That show is not fun. And one of the reasons that like those shows happen is because you know that like the bands individually will not be able to sell enough tickets to make the show worth doing. So what you do is you just try to maximize the amount of small audiences that will come through the show, buy tickets to the show. Maybe they only come for like the first band and then they leave. Maybe they only come for the headliner and then they come late. So like, that's the goal of doing like a big lineup like that. So if you ever see like a show and the lineup is like, 6 bands and you're like, dude, like, I don't want to go to that. There's just so many bands in the lineup. That's why this is that. This is exactly that. This is, we wanted to have 50 bands on the lineup because we didn't think that any of these would sell what I'm assuming is true, 80,000 tickets per day. So you're saying 80,000 people were going to buy, tickets to this space, which I do not firmly believe was built to adequately house 80,000 people in one space, because you can't. Like, that's just not how anything is built. So I think
I will say though, because I'm in a Facebook group for When We Were Young Fest, and that's how I've been finding out about certain things that were coming up. And somebody did ask how many people were there on Sunday, and I guess I forgot who reports it in Vegas, but they said it was about over 65,000 people.
Okay.
Originally, it was supposed to be 80K, but obviously, like, people left, people sold the tickets, people just didn't go. Whatever.
Yeah, a lot of people sold their tickets from Sunday to people who were not able to go on Saturday. My 80,000 number is coming from the Hawthorne Heights Post when they announced that they were going to do a little like hotel set, which I was at because it was at my hotel.
So upset I could not get in. Brian texted me. He's like, Lizzie, you can't get in here. And
literally,
like,
as soon as I got there, it was literally like, because it was walking distance from the festival grounds. So like, they said like 80,000 people just descended upon this hotel at 4:30 in the afternoon, and the hotel does not have the capacity or the ability to do that. My Uber driver said, I've never seen this many people at this hotel before. I had to walk up to the front gates where there was armed security with my hotel key out because they were only letting people who were actually staying in the hotel in. So I got to at least step in and see it from a very far distance where the sound system didn't reach. The only way that I heard Your Guardian Angel by Red Jumpsuit Apparatus was because the audience was singing it. So I did not actually hear Red Jumpsuit Apparatus play it, technically. That chaos. But that 80,000 number is coming from Hawthorne Heights posting that was how, I'm assuming that's maybe like the cap on the venue.
Most likely. Yeah. That's what I were to think.
So like they're saying that if it was sold out, 80,000 people. Let's assume that it was, 65,000 though, if we want to say 65,000 people is probably more accurate number. Still too fucking many.
Yeah.
Because those lines were because everybody wanted to do shit at the same time, right? The food lines were literally right at the beginning of when you walk in. So you're walking through a bunch of lines just to get into the festival because all the people are waiting to get their food. And it's like, dude, why is this? And there's also multiple other food vendors, but the lines aren't shorter. It's every line.
Well, the food line reminded me of Riot Fest this past year on the Friday, which is the day that My Chem was playing. Mm-hmm. And just like so many fucking people were there. Mm-hmm. And also, I think this may end up sounding gatekeeping halfway through with maybe things that I say as somebody.
Gatekeeping eating.
I'm gatekeeping everything at this festival, actually.
Food, dude.
But you had a lot of people who were like, we're not aware of like what a festival period would be in like 2022. And then also like the food lines were crazy long. Like me and my friends waited for about like a solid hour to get food. So that's like an hour out of our day right there. Yep. We're missing bands. At least for me too, one of the cons was I personally like walking around to different activations. So that's like Sirius XM was a sponsor, and me being a fucking nerd, I'm like, oh, I want to go see the Sirius XM activation and like talk to people there. But I couldn't because I was bouncing between band to bands or being like, I need to go eat. I need to go get water. I need to go to the bathroom. And then I immediately need to go get to the next set of whoever the fuck I wanted to see. So I wasn't even able to like go and like enjoy that part. I didn't even get to see like half of the area, half of the stages, because there was just no bands I wanted to see on that. But if I had at least like 30 or 45 minutes like in between certain band sets and I wasn't waiting in line, I could have probably just ran around and been like, oh, like I didn't see like the Green set until like the middle of the night when we're walking over.
Stripe set?
Yeah, the Stripes. Yeah. I didn't even know that. I didn't have no idea where it was for most of the day. It was like 7:00. And I'm like, I had no idea this was even fucking here.
Yeah.
And they had all this other activations. They had like a donut truck. I was like, I missed all this because I was mainly between the checkered stage and Pink and Black. And I never saw any other stage. And I tried to get lined up for merch. Me and my friend were like, oh, maybe if like we put one of us here and we swap out or something. Didn't work. My friend ended up, when we were waiting for Bring Me the Horizon and going to Paramore, she said, I'm going to go get a sweater because she was cold. And she waited in line, and I was like, cool. But she didn't come in till like maybe I think like 3 songs in from Paramore, and she left right before Bring Me the Horizon started. So I thought that was absolutely silly because they only had 3 merch outlets, and one of them was VIP access only, which doesn't help us who are GA whatsoever. I mean, I thought it would be like Riot Fest where you would have like at least try to have like mini merch stands. Like maybe you didn't have the full line of merch, but you had at least like a couple of merch. Or even at Lala, because this is like pretty similar capacity size to Lala, where you would have like that big Lala store and then like a separate artist merch area, but then you still have like a pop-up shop outside. I mean, Emo Night LA did a pop-up shop for their like merch. I don't understand why when we were young didn't think to do that. And then I was also saying like, oh, I'll just buy it when it goes up online. But I've been hearing rumors that they're not going to do that, which I think would be really stupid, especially because I'm
gonna let all those rumors go away. I don't care about those kinds of rumors. Like, oh, we hate
that
money.
Would be the stupidest thing because they lost a bunch of fucking money from Saturday. Like, I don't think that they would just not.
No, that's just
put it up. I will say, me and my friends did get matching when we were young bucket hats, though.
Like, fine, but yeah, they're gonna put that shit up. I'm not listening to any rumors about anything because I think that like this whole thing has just been as we are seeing from the My Chemical Romance response to their set. Everybody is just like, yeah, this is a nostalgia cash grab. So cash cap. Yeah. So the idea that like they're not going to try to make more money is just absolute bullshit. I'm not going to believe that until they say, yeah, sorry, hope everybody had a good time, and then just never put anything up. Whatever. That's probably somebody who's like, oh, they're probably not going to post anything, but check out my eBay store. Like, yeah, no, thank you. I think that it's just that the festival grounds were not like Lollapalooza has more space. This is also making for me a very clear understanding of how like in Chicago, we have our festival grounds as Grant Park, kind of, but there is no like festival grounds space dedicated to like all of these things. Grant Park is the closest thing we kind of have, but mostly like they use city parks for this kind of shit.
Well, also the same thing is Grand Park is under a monopoly for Lollapalooza for at least 10 more years.
And that's what I'm saying is like, we know that if there's a festival ground space and festivals can all use it, that obviously is a benefit, but it also has to be the right space for how many people you're going to get. So having like a Grant Park space is obviously gigantic in the context of like Chicago, having a massive group of people there and putting up those kinds of numbers and having more space, having more band separation throughout the day, having more people spread out throughout the crowd, not having like a My Chemical Romance level band that is the, like we saw it at Riot Fest where it's like, dude, there's literally only one band on at this time. You're going to watch My Chemical Romance. Having anybody competing with them, it's like, yeah, no one's going to rush to the other side of the field to watch Kitty. And I love Kitty. I have nothing bad to say about Kitty at all.
No one's also going to run across the field and be like, I'm going to see Landon Barker, Travis Barker's son perform.
Like, it's just, you're not going to pull, like you have gigantic bands on the bill for a reason. They are all going to sell it out. But you're also not then going to have everybody in one single space, and you are not going to be able to build a space that fits 65,000 people in watching the same band. You are literally doing something that is going to attract 65,000 people to come to it, like giving away like fucking free money at this fucking thing. Everyone's going to just show right up there. And obviously we saw that when everybody showed up to the fucking Strat to see Hawthorne Heights and no one could get in.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely like overpacking it was one thing. I think that like having these long lines, really bugged me too, because like you said, like you have to stand in it for like an hour. I think I waited in a line for 45 minutes for food, but at least I was like standing next to the Stripe stage. So I got to see like the Wonder Years while waiting in line. So it's like, cool. I get to see a band at least while I'm waiting for a pulled pork sandwich, which is not worth the price that I paid for it at all. And then, yeah, at least like that part is okay if you're there. But if you're not, if you're like at the other stages and you're waiting for food, you're not seeing anybody. Then you've got bands playing for like 30 minutes, playing all their hits for 30 minutes. And then like they're all spread out. So you're going to have to lose an hour of seeing bands. And this would be my biggest argument about the cost of the fest, the cost of going to the fest, and the cost of being at the fest. I did not pay this money to wait in a bathroom line for an hour. I did not pay this money to then wait for food for an hour. And I did not pay this money to wait for 2 hours for merch. So if you say, let's say that like it's an 8-hour festival, half the time is spent waiting in line for one thing. And then, okay, cool. Now I'll get in this other line. I'll have a beer, but I know that if I have one beer, I'm going to be waiting in line for 1 hour just to use the bathroom one time. That to me is like, no, that was like my cutoff point where I was like, dude, I'm done. Like after Avril Lavigne played and then Bright Eyes went on, I was like, you know what? I'm good. I understand. Like My Chemical Romance, Paramore, and Bring Me the Horizon are three of my favorite bands. And I said, I'm good. I can't be here anymore. Like I had to walk outside of the park to go use the porta potties because I was like, I'm not waiting for an hour in a line to use the bathroom. Like, I'm just not. And then they said 2 re-entries allowed. And I'm like, nah, like you got the fucking bathrooms over there, man. I am re-entering as often as I want because re-entry is the only way I can use the fucking bathroom. That was my limit, man. That's the heatedest I'll get. That's my main argument for this is, yo, bathroom lines at an hour, bathroom lines at 45 minutes. Dude, bathroom lines, period. You don't have to have those. You could have had more fucking bathrooms. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, so I remember I tried to text, so there was also like no fucking signal either. Like there was none.
Zero
so if
signal.
You wanted to coordinate, like trying to meet with people, absolutely not happening.
Hope you don't like your friends. Hope you fucking hate your friends.
Hope you come in with at least one other bestie and you stay together the entire fucking time, or that's it. You're alone. No, that's it.
Dude, I spent an hour trying to find my fucking friends too. At least I got to like stand and watch like Taking Back Sunday and Jimmy Eat World during that time. But you're like, dude, Why can't I fucking text my friends at a festival?
I know that that's
in
probably like
Vegas?
something that's way bigger than everybody else involved, but that was like really frustrating because if we had also known that that would be an issue, we all probably would have coordinated way better and like been more aware. Like I never saw Brian at the concert whatsoever.
No, could not find each other.
Couldn't find each other. And like, that's the thing. Like, it's hard to like miss at least me. And I was with a group of people, but
It's easy
even
to
like
miss you.
I got,
You're 4 foot nothing.
I got a big bow in my hair. That's all I can give you.
4 foot nothing. It's a big bow hidden behind a bunch of 6 foot people.
How dare you?
Nah.
But like, I lost my friends because I wanted to see the starting line, and they went to go see a another band. I don't remember who, but they went over there, and then I was able to move up like almost to the barricade for 303. Had a great time at 303, and I knew my friends were gonna be there because we had like kind of talked about it very loosely. And I was only assuming where Brian would be because I didn't know his schedule, but I know what bands he likes, so I could kind of figure where he would be. But like after,
I wasn't at any of them.
You were not at.
The only band that I really wanted to see was Armor for Sleep at the time that I was there, and I got to see Armor for Sleep, and then that was it. I walked all the way back to the Stripe stage, stayed there for like the next 2 hours. So there was just no way. Like there was just no way to contact anybody.
No, there was no way. Like I said to my friends, because I found 2 of them. And I said, oh my God, like we need to stay together. I ended up going with my one friend, Marlene. We tried getting to GA Pet for Pierce the Veil. Absolutely did not happen. This is where I had a fucking issue. And this is where I have a fucking issue with goddamn normies coming into the scene. I know there's a whole other, there's a lot of issues going in. There's a, my girl boss gatekeeping arc has arrived. But listen, the scene's supposed to be accepting and everything. I totally understand and get it. But when you have all these people coming in, when you have all these people coming into a festival, ones that maybe never been to a festival before, they never been to like an emo fest before, possibly. So you have a lot of like preconceived notions that like actually don't vibe in the area that we are in. So maybe they're used to going to like someplace like Lala, which is more traditionally like pop rock. Like they have rock bands, but it's more like poppy. You're there just to like, just be there, just to say you're there kind of thing. But you're not like getting in the pit and getting down dirty like you're at Riot Fest. Riot Fest completely different. So that's what I'm used to and what I really, really like. Here, me and my friend were in for GA Pit, which there was VIP Pit, which was a way larger section than I thought it was going to be in front of the main stages. I don't like. It had to be at least maybe like 30 rows of the front of the pit for VIP. And that was just VIP only. And it was completely fucking dead because all the bands were like, hey guys, like jump up, like let's start a pit. But they would like show the camera over these people and they're like clearly like they didn't know like the new songs. They didn't know like deep cuts. And it's like, again, like you can be there, obviously happy to have you here, but there are other people here who would absolutely enjoy it, who are actual true diehard fans. And you're just there because you can like whip out your card and be like, I can pay like $700 for one fucking ticket, which is wild to me. Because I would never pay $700 for a fucking ticket to a festival. And I never have. I've only bought GA ever in my life. So that type of stuff is crazy to me. But when me and my friend were trying to get a GA Pet for Pierce the Veil, we missed basically their entire set, even though we could see it like right there and hear it. Couldn't see it because we're actually both short. But I will say, there's people around us who are really chill about it. There's this one guy, he literally opened up his phone camera and zoomed in so like us and a few other people could like watch them, which was very nice and wholesome. So if you're that guy, you're chill as fuck.
Do you guys want to watch the concert on my phone? And you're like, thanks, dude.
Listen, it was like good camaraderie from a good amount of people. So, but this is where the issue happened. And this is where safety concerns came into play. So at the GA Pit area, it sounded like it was okay if you have like a group of people come out, like 20 to 50 people, then they'll send 20 to 50 people in. Okay, it's kind of like one in, one out, but not like fully one in, one out. So Pierce the Veil ends. And then the U's are up next. And I'm like, I'm in the pit for fucking U's. I'm going to kill my friend in this pit, like whole 9 yards. Okay, the usual stuff. So we're literally like right there. We're like 2 people behind, like getting actually in. So they're letting all these people out. There's one security guard there being super chill, but not like guiding people where to go out. And they're not clearing the way because this is just like a block of people, a wall of people trying to get into the GA Pit. So you have people just standing there waiting. You have some people in the back pushing to say like, just push to get in, which is again, another safety hazard. Then you had people coming out. Then eventually you had people coming out on the other side that was supposed to be the entry where me and my friend were. And they were trying to go through and push us back and push us through. And then that people in the back were pushing us. So that was a huge safety hazard. And me and my friend were like, listen, we're almost there. Like, whatever, it's going to get cleared up. The use started. They're like 2 songs in. This girl starts to fucking pound on my back and scream and yell and say, we should fucking push them forward, jumping up, screaming in me and my friend's ear. And like cursing out the security guards, cursing out these people just trying to like get out of the pit area and everything, where there's, again, no security's there like guiding or directing anything. And we were like, hey, shut the fuck up. Like, and stop banging on my back, or I am going to personally hit you. And then it's not going to be good. And she just kept going, and she was like screaming in everybody's ear. Like, it was just so bad. And me and my friend just looked at each other like, this is just not fucking worth it. Like, when she started doing that, we said, we're done. We're done. We're not doing this anymore. And us trying to get out, we were like, hey, we're leaving. We're done. That was even hard to do. Even though we're like, hey, excuse me, please let us shoot. We just want to get to the outer layer of it. And that was just a fucking hassle, like the entire time. I mean, once we finally did, we found a spot and we were vibing with other people who are like super into the use. I mean, they fucking played Blood in My Hands, lost my fucking mind. Great, awesome. I had a good time then. But during that time, I'm like, I'm glad there's camaraderie from some people. But when people get pissed, I don't know if it's, again, because maybe they haven't been to a show or a fest in years, because I've seen, and like, maybe it's also because I'm in the Facebook group. I know that apparently there's a Discord group as well, but I'm not in that. And there's people like in the, when we were on Facebook page, they're like, oh, I'm like a parent. I haven't been to like a concert or a fest like in like 10 years, which is wild to me.
It's wild to me that somebody would have had kids in the last 10 years. What do you mean?
But it's like, okay, you haven't been to these places. Like, is this how you act like anywhere else? Like when nothing happens, like when you don't get your way or like something's like an inconvenience, like,
yes,
it was kind of crazy to me. And my thing was, people were also starting to say what they said when I was at my chem at Riot Fest, which really pissed me off. And I kind of scolded a lot of people. They're like, if you keep pushing, or if you keep coming like through the out, the in, through the out, or whatever area of the gate, it's going to be like Astro World. But then there are people like actively trying to create an Astro type world situation on their own accord because they won't be fucking patient. And they don't understand how like some fests just like go with things. Or instead of saying, you know what, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Like, I'm just going to leave, you know, and I'm just going to get as far up close as I can get and go from there, you know. That like blew my mind and made me really frustrated with like, one, I guess, like moreover the security, because there should have just been more security in that area. Because it was just a hot mess. It was also right next to the bathrooms. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you want to go to the bathroom, it's like, which one is the bathroom area? Which one's the J area? And, like, I'd be like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. And like, you're trying to push to the front and cut me. And I'm like, first of all, there's no line here. This is a chaotic mess. I'm trying to go pee, okay? I'm going this way. Let me through. I'm begging you. But, like, once that hit for me, at least, and I ended up just sticking with my one friend. We were walking around. We found our other friend while we were walking to our, like, we said, like, let's meet up by the When We Were Young, like, arch sign in the front. That's where we're going to meet in case we lose each other. Hope for the best. Our in-between time was, like, Jimmy Eat, when like, Jimmy Eat World was on. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we ended up finding all of our friends. Cool, awesome. We're all together. And then we're like, we are not losing each other anymore. So if anybody else wanted to see any other bands, we said, no, fuck it. Like, we're just going to stay together because we can't reach each other. I don't know how it's going to be getting out of here after the fest. And, you know, I'm the only one who had the battery charger. So, like, everyone had to stay, or someone at least had to stay with me. They had to charge their phone. So that part was really frustrating. But then afterwards, once we kind of got into the Blackpink area, which were the main stages, we just basically plopped a squat, literally. Like, we sat down for some sets. We stood up for some sets and had our own little area, which was fine. A Day to Remember was on. I was also kind of like tired and chilly at this point. So I was kind of like, do I really want to stay the rest of the time? But then I was kind of like revitalized by the time like Bring Me the Horizon came on. So I was like ready to fucking go. But I think it was also because I had not had water all day. Mm-hmm. So I think that was also it. But when A Day to Remember was on, we were on by the black stage in the back area. They were on the pink stage, so we're kind of diagonal. But everyone's just like going back and forth because you can't move anywhere at that point. And like some mini mosh pits opened up near us, which was fine because they said, "Hey, open it, open it." I said, "Cool, love it." Like I don't want to get in for A Day to Remember because like I don't really care much about them personally, but whatever. I enjoy a good pit, so I was like right next to them. I was like, pushing people, whatever. This dude like goes down. He falls in the middle of the pit. And nobody picks him up. And I'm like screaming, like, yo, pick him up. Some old guy, like punk guys in front of me, like realizing they're like, yo, fucking pick him up. And like we're screaming at people. One person stops. This is probably like a good like 1 minute of us screaming in this pit of people. Like, pick this guy up. They're literally like walking over him, trampling over him. And I'm like, go fucking pick him up. What is your goddamn problem? Like, we don't do that here. And then I saw that my friends saw where I said, no, if there's a pit, it's just only us. Like, we're not. Like, these people don't fucking care because they're either fucking normies, they're assholes, or they haven't been to a show in so fucking long that they just don't have etiquette anymore. And for me, as somebody who's always in the pit and it's always like just going to get fucking knocked on my ass because I'm so short, if somebody can't pick up, this guy was probably around your height, Brian. Like, he was pretty tall. And like they didn't even went to go get him and he couldn't get up on his own. I said, absolutely not. Like, I think my issue was more with one, security, and also two, just the people who were there. Just because there's also people who are like not into like, yeah, like let's have a good time, like let's have fest. People are just like pissy and like entitled. And again, I think it comes down to this fest was so fucking expensive. I mean, I bought 4 GA tickets for me and my friends, and it came out to about $1,500. And 300, I think it was like 325 was just service fees. So that was like the cost of one ticket. And service fees. And like, again, I could not justify VIP. I could not justify GA plus. I can never really justify that for any festival, but especially for this festival where I wasn't sure how it was going to go. That's what it came down to, is you limited this fest by it being such a cash grab that people who actually really wanted to probably come to this and who are really avid fans could not attend, because you aimed it at people who now have money, but are probably like the epitome of like the shitty people we didn't want to like either become or ever deal with in our lives. And now we kind of had to deal with that. And that's where I had an issue with it.
Gatekeeping.
Like, we were behind a lot of people too, who were like, when Paramore came on, first of all, they opened with All I Wanted. So me and my friends were like, holy shit, what is going on? And then there's people in front of like, why are you freaking out? Why are you yelling? Like, because they don't know what's going on. They don't know anything other than the bangers. And they're like getting pissy with us. And it's like, okay, then just fucking leave. Just like go somewhere else. Like, if you're going to be pissed that people are excited, don't be at a fucking music festival, or maybe learn fucking more music.
Lizzie,
like, don't take that experience away from other people.
Lizzie is fully into the gatekeeping arc right now. Lizzie. Security was an issue.
Security was a huge issue.
We cannot blame the fest for you being gatekeeping.
I just know. That's why I'm saying the security was a huge issue.
All I wanted? Can we fucking get some security over here?
No, but like there was issues with security with the GA pit because that was just messy. My friend was like, "There's one security guy," and I'm like, "I didn't see him, but okay, I believe you."
One security guy, awesome, cool.
Yeah, for hundreds of thousands of people, like not hundreds, but like hundreds of people, absolutely not. No,
it doesn't
you
make
need
sense
more
to not have security for that amount of people.
Absolutely not, and like not have any type of crowd control. Then have people who are then again comes it like just more of the audience, like who was there, kind of made it not great. So it's not the festival itself; it's just the people Lizzie. That it attracted.
Just how Lizzie feels about them.
Yeah, like I mean, granted, I've been to a lot of shows, and I've seen this consistently over the last couple of years that I've been going to shows, especially after the pandemic, after like TikTok has been curating a lot of like musical success for a lot of these bigger bands too. You get people who are just not versed in like the etiquette of concert culture, which again, like cool, I'm glad you're here, but like you need to be open to learning and like not be a dick about it when you don't get your way, and like learn patience about it. Because if you don't know, okay, cool, whatever, but if you're willing to learn, even better, because then you're gonna be more like, acclimated and you're going to have a better time. Where if you're going to be like the chick who's banging on my back, screaming in me and my friend's ear, trying to shove us and cause a crowd surge because she can't be in the pit, absolutely not. Like, that is uncalled for.
Yeah, no, that's human etiquette, not concert etiquette. I think we can say that it's very clear at this point through, like I mentioned, My Chemical Romance had on their I have a lot of thoughts about this.
Oh my God. We were having the best time.
The band wore their Revenger outfits, but then they wore like prosthetic makeup and masks to sort of showcase that like they were aging old. And like, look, I have the same issue with that I have with a lot of other like artisty things where it's like, hey, can you just like tell us exactly what you want us to know? Because right now you're like hinting at it and then you're going to let everyone take away their own thoughts on it. Fine. But it feels like you're trying to tell us something. And I would like to know what it is specifically you are trying to tell us. I think that it's trying to say like, this is gonna, I'm gonna post our YouTube video.
Have you just seen it on Twitter? Because it's all on Twitter.
But do you remember the YouTube video that we made where we talked about it? And I was like, my theory on this is that My Chem doesn't want to do this fucking reunion. My Chem is just doing this because there's a lot of people that are trying to make money off of My Chemical Romance, and they're like, no, we're not gonna let you do that without us, and we're not gonna have no chance to make our own artistic opinions on it or effect to it. It's hard to say because it's like, did they have any artistic like build up to this? Did they have anything artistically going into this entire festival, this entire tour? It feels like this festival is like kind of like a culmination point, because like they obviously haven't said much about this at any other shows or done anything about it. And I do think that it is very clear that that's what their goal is here, is to kind of point at and talk about nostalgia culture and this nostalgia fest. But also like, bro, you've been on tour for like a while now. Like you could have just said at any time what you think and what you felt, but you've just sort of like not said anything. And that's leaving a lot of the doors open. I'm also assuming that it is probably a Live Nation and probably a Ticketmaster thing where they cannot say anything about it at all for a long period of time because there is a lot of money in this. And so any disparaging comment will affect how those tickets sell. Or would they? I fucking doubt it. I don't. I think this is all, and Lizzie and I have a very strong anti-clout message for everybody. So like, I think this is a lot of like Ticketmaster and Live Nation and these companies that understand that there is a lot of money in this. Again, book a lot of bands on the bill. You know it'll sell out. You know that there will be everybody there. You know it'll get a lot of attention. You know it'll sell a lot of merch, and you want to hold the fuck onto that and like wrap your arms around it and hold it to yourself so that nobody else can do anything with it. Nobody can hurt it. Nobody will hurt your precious little baby bands that you're still ownership of. I fucking hate that shit. And I wish that My Chem could do whatever they wanted to do. On the other hand, all the bands that I saw, every band that played that day, 110%. Like they were all fucking incredible. There was no band performance I saw that day that was anything less. There were some tech issues with some of them. All of them fucking killed it though. Like everyone put their fucking heart and soul into their sets that day.
Yeah, like the starting line, that was the first band I really like saw like their full set. They absolutely fucking like killed it. And also like it's my second time seeing them, so I was absolutely like stoked on it. Mm-hmm. But like they were like, yeah, guys, like we're so fucking happy to be here. Like we can't believe that this is like a whole thing. And like I saw 303 immediately after them, and they fucking put everything. They brought Charlotte Sands out to do My First Kiss. Lost my fucking mind. Mm-hmm. They played their 100 Gex song. Nobody went off. It was very upsetting, but I did, and I was a menace to people most likely. But I do not care. There's someone with an opposing podcast, I assume, that is just like, this girl is just going off of the song like nobody knows. Like it's being really gatekeeping about new shit. it's like I just want you to play 100 Gex and that's it. Like there's somebody else who is saying the exact same thing about you that you said about somebody else on this pod. Oh, I know, but I'm also I'm here for a good time, and that's what concerts are for, is to go off. And I just kind of stand there and be like,
I think
You know,
that is
I mean,
like
if you go to like a classical concert, yeah, but like
chill. Don't call out people who like classical music.
I mean, it's cool. Like, yeah, the classical, you could chill. Like, just sit there and be like, yeah, like, and that's probably nice. I've never been to one, but I imagine that like it's fancy and cool.
Cool. You sound like you're really knowledgeable and you really care about it.
I'm just saying by comparison for it. But every single band I saw was like, they really loved it and they were like giving their all to it.
Yeah.
So I will also point out, because I obviously stayed for the last set of bands, Bring Me the Horizon stopped their set for like a full probably like 3 minutes because somebody passed out in the front. And they're like, we're not restarting. And there was like people behind me being like, come on with the show. And that was behind me. And there's people obviously in front that are closer to him doing it too. And he's like, well, we gotta make sure everyone's okay. Like, we're not gonna like let somebody get hurt. And then that happened with Paramore too. Somebody apparently passed out there, and like another like 3 minutes, and like other people again, hey, move on with the show. And she was like, we just have to make sure everyone's cool, everyone's okay, and then we'll get on with it. And I'm like, that's like the good shit energy that like we needed, and that's what I appreciated. I guess it happened at a couple other sets too, but I'm not too sure which ones. But I like to see that consistently.
Yeah.
Especially after, again, like everyone always likes to reference Astroworld because that was like the largest tragedy that has happened with festivals and overcrowding lately. And like, I don't see that happening in the scene per se, especially from like the performers, like not stopping and doing it. Cause I feel like people, we know how crazy it can get, especially with these larger acts doing these festival shows, especially. And they like are more cognizant enough to it.
It's like, oh, hey, like shit there, dude. It's like,
yeah,
it's like K-pop
like again,
shit, man.
It comes down to like just like shitty people who are like in the audience, like making shitty things happen because they're impatient or they think they're entitled to something more.
It's yes, again, just Lizzie gatekeeping it from people. But
oh my god,
if you are going for the next weekend, if you're going on Saturday, I very much do believe that watching the bands, seeing the bands perform was the best part of it. The bands are doing their goddamn best out there. Probably like some boring behind the scenes shit, but I'm like, my assumption is like the unions and the people who build these stages and work on the actual production side of things, the people who are working the sound, the people who are making sure the bands are all running on time, the bands who are the people who are like working at each of the stages obviously have an important and crucial job to making the show good. They are not the ones involved in the process of how many bathrooms will we have? How will the food lines run? How will the beer tents run? How do we make sure that the merch lines get through? So like all my complaints have nothing to do with the bands.
It's more on like the main organizers that are Live Nation and Ticketmaster because of like strategical errors is what it comes down to. And I also read a few tweets from people who were working at the fest or people who are like playing in the bands behind the fest. And they were like, yeah, everyone treated us great. We like anything we asked for or needed, they immediately got it for us. Everyone was super nice and super caring. So like, there's that. I think it's just more of the logistical things.
Yeah.
Like I feel they got halfway into it and they said, oh shit, we bit off more than we could chew, but we can't like back out now. Like we have to like keep doing the best we can.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, like, there was a tweet going around like it's going to be a shit show, and I don't think that tweet was with any knowledge or was with any comprehension of like what a shit show would look like. Because I think that like the main thing you're going to think when you see like, oh, it's going to be a shit show is the bands aren't going to play. Like we think Firefest where it's like, no, Blink-182 just pulled out, right? So like no, these bands that wasn't going to happen. That was never an issue. The bands were always going to show up. The bands were always going to play because that side of it was well done. That side of it could happen, and that side of it was never going to have a problem. The side of it that was organization wise had more to do with tents, had more to with food and all that. That would create more of a buildup at those places. And obviously, as a concert goer, somebody who is just buying a GA ticket going to experience the fest, you are going to have a much more difficult time getting your money's worth out of that. And that is my issue, especially when bands are calling out the capitalism of the overall like experience of Nostalgia Fest, and then seeing something as a massive, monstrous cash grab by giant corporations to put it at a tiny, not tiny, but you know, not big enough for the amount of people that were there. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess to leave it on a positive note, because we can wrap up this episode. I think that is the majority of our takes on the fest.
Yeah.
We'll hope to see what happens on this next Saturday, the second day of the 3-day festival.
Yeah, the whole second day.
It's the second day they can do it. I will also add, canceling for the win that day was actually a very good choice.
Yeah, at first me and my friends were like, this isn't bad. We were also on our balcony.
It wasn't about the day.
Floor, and
it was
like,
about watching like desert, like sandstorms in the distance. And also later on at night, the winds got way fucking worse. So like they canceled for the right reasons. Good. That is a good positive thing that they did.
For reference, me and my friends tried to walk literally 10 minutes down the street to go to a Korean barbecue on Saturday night. First of all, we looked up. I'm like, is it going to rain? Why is it so dark? And I'm like, oh no, that's fucking dust blocking out the sun. And then we're like almost blown over multiple times. Like a group of 4 of us almost blown the full fuck over by wind and just dust everywhere. Dust in my eyes, dust in my nose, like my lips, and nothing. It didn't matter how much
City
I get in. Absolutely not.
Dried up.
We dried out. I'm so happy I have a facial booked for Saturday.
Okay. Anyway,
it was a lot. So at the end of it, I'm glad that they did cancel.
It was a good choice.
For those who could not go Saturday, who could not get tickets, but we all figured it out. But
the bands were great. If you're going on this Saturday, you will still have a very good time. Be prepared for a lot of the stuff that we mentioned, because I'm assuming it's going to be the exact same shit.
Yeah. Just be a good person and like, just be aware of what's going on. And just please, like,
get a walkie-talkie.
What made it best for at least me and my group of friends is that once we found each other, we just stayed together the rest of the night, and like we just kind of scream sang in each other's face and like beat up on each other, and that like made things like 10 times better for us. Like, I mean, when we saw my chem, first of all, they did this whole like time machine. I originally thought it was like old radio noises, like they were going back in time, and then they did like more like kind of futuristic space. I'm like, oh, this is really, really cool. And then I was like, oh man, I thought they were going to play Planetary Go there for a second, but they played Give 'Em Hell Kids. So me and my friends were like, holy shit, like screaming in each other's faces, like freaking out, which made us like have an even better time. And then they did play Planetary Go afterwards, which we flipped out about anyway. Then they played Death Wish, which we absolutely wanted to murder each other, like in our own little baby pit for. So I think if you like make sure you stay with your group of friends that you come with, or at least like a few people and like who have good energy and vibes. Everything I think we kind of talked about. That's why, at least for me, I think like I ended up having a better experience because I was able to kind of stick with my friends once I found them again. And we were like on the same page about what we wanted to do. And we were just able to have like a best fucking time. Like we had a good time. Would I go back again? Maybe not, unless I knew that they were going to. No, like unless I knew Hundo P that they were like detailing things out, or even just split it up to 2 days. I don't think I would go back personally. No. I think it was a good experience to have because I'm a kind of like a my chem freak where every time that on this tour they were posting a set list every night, and I like to follow along with that. So I would only want to do it for that reason. I'd be like, what set list are they playing tonight? But that was like, that's what you're going to get out of it. So make sure if you go with your friends, you pick like a designated area. It's going to be like old school days when you didn't have a cell phone. So like it's true like Warped Tour energy. No contact. Yeah, but those don't even work. So I would say just do that. I think if you are going, like don't be discouraged, still go. But I personally wouldn't go back again unless they split it up into 2 days and they just like had way more space and more like areas for these places to be, and for people like in general.
For people. Well, yeah, that's our takes. If you've listened to this episode, thank you for enjoying it. If you don't already, you can follow us on the internet at Emo Social Club on Instagram. You can follow us at Emo Social Club X on Twitter and TikTok. We have some content on all of those, and we'll probably just post more of our takes because, I don't know, we're a take podcast now or something.
We're a take. It's because we didn't have a guest this past week because we were
at the fest. Yeah, it's like, what were we going to do?
Yeah, we were at the fest. I mean, I remember I texted Brian. I was like, hey, where are you? Because I had like a sliver of signal for a little bit. And I was like, hey, how's the fest going for you? Because I hadn't heard from him all day. And
Never
he's
got
like,
that
I
text.
left. I was like, fuck.
Oh, I got that text.
You know, you
super
got
late,
that, and I was like, huh.
I was like, no, I'm gone.
Yeah, no. And then
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. And I remember I texted, I'm like, is it bad to say that like I think like I've had more fun like the whole weekend leading up to the fest than the fest day? And he's like, nope, that's the correct energy.
Nope, it is. We did a couple DJ nights, and we have more DJ nights in Chicago. So if you're in Chicago listening to this, go check out those social medias. And if you're listening to
more up
this,
there.
there is a video version over on our YouTube channel. We have a lot of other interviews and such on there. I'm obviously hoping that this gets to people who don't normally listen to us as our take podcast version.
Just remember, we also interview some of your favorite bands too.
Yeah.
And some maybe you don't really know that we think you should know.
Yeah. So we'll be back soon. We'll be back. Subscribe to this podcast, and we'll be back with more guests, more of the episodes that we're normally doing in the future. But until then, we love you. Don't make it awkward. And from all of us here at the Emo Social Club podcast, I'm Brian.
And I'm Lizzie.
That's the dust. I'm getting the dust out.
Yeah, it's all the dust that's still there. I can't put up enough chapstick to fix my lips.
Dude, right?
Yes.